Like I forgot how to take fucking stories for Instagram. That's fucking sad. Sad, sad, sad. Sad, sad, sad. Sad, sad, sad. Like a rookie again. Crazy. What kind of fucking ugly shit is this? I gotta change my shirt. Fuck. I wet it up, making this espresso. Patty? Patty? Get me the fuck off this fucking app. I gotta change my shirt because my shit's wet. All right. New week. New week, new trades, more wins. And less bullshit. More discipline, more wisdom. Alright, let's break this motherfucker down. So, very key. Last week we closed respecting that zone. Let me turn this down a bit. So last week we closed respecting the zone. And there's something very important here at this level. When we drop down to lower time frames, I will see it. And then we still have our support here on the weekly in regards to most recent areas. Drop it down to the daily. Very, very, very key right here. All right. We needed closures above here on the higher time frames to start indicating that, okay, potentially we could start moving up to 2787. But since we didn't get that, we're not going to put that zone there just yet. We're just going to sit around and wait. We can even say over here, 2747. That's something that I would wait for. Since I didn't get a closure above there, I'm not going to put that there and worry about it until it happens. Only levels I can work with now are this level. And since I'm dealing with most recent supports and resistances, I can work with this level. I can't put a support here yet on the daily unless I get a candle closure. So if this candle were to close like this in 9 hours, I could throw support here, but I can't right now because that candle's still open on the daily. But as I come down to the 4 hour, I could definitely start moving the support back up to potentially like this area, or whatever the case is. But as of right now, it's here. 4 hour. These were my most recent supports at the point of even like this formation, but now my most recent support is here because we have this closure here, and even previously in the past, as this price is coming down, I could have put a support level here because this is where price was struggling to come back down, and it eventually ended up bouncing off of that level and going up to 2718. So another key thing for myself is understanding this. 1, 2, 3. Do we have any more? You can even say this area as well. And do I have another area? No, because we're all-time highs. These are very key areas because every time prices tap this level, what has it done? What has it done? It's dropped. It's dropped. This area, when we closed above, where did we go? Up to this area. So, because I'm not getting any closures above here yet, at 2718, I'm not going to worry about this area here. But since we're getting closures below this area, what am I going to worry about? I'm going to worry about what happened here and what happened here. So an idea could be, could we potentially mirror these types of moves going down to the downside? And if we can, every time price is sold off, we've tapped this area. When we sold off, we tapped this area. We sold off, we tapped this area, broke through, retested it again, and then just ended up doing our business. So the same thing here, right? I could say that if we start to get closures below this area on the 4 hour, there will be more of a confluence, or more of a, I would say, just price would, it would be a lot more, you'd be able to convince yourself more that price is going to move down if it closes below 2692, because you've had all these, right? Every time prices close below this zone, we retested it and we ended up going. We closed below, we came back to retest it, we ended up going. So could that same idea play out here on the 4 hour if we close below here? If that is the case, okay, you can, that's when you start to break down and start using the daily and the 4 hour and even the 1 hour to your advantage, where then you can say, if this daily starts flipping again, could I get sells down to this level? Instead of waiting for price to actually get there, could I start waiting, or could I take a trade for it to actually get to this level? And then once it gets to this level, I should be at the profit target. So that could be an idea for sells today. But what's also very important is it's 8 o'clock. This candle in the 4 hours is going to close in 1 hour. So when it closes in 1 hour, how's it going to close? Okay, well, if it closes bearish, right? If it closes, let's say, in this area, then this will be a top wick. It's going to look very strong bearish. So potentially the next candle could print bearish as well. So if it does close, like, let's say, past this previous 4 hour doji looking candle, if it closes like in this area, how much points do I have? I have 100 points to play with, right? So that's more than enough range for me to be taking trades in. So now I'm going to go down over to the 1 hour on the right hand side of the screen. I need to, no, you know what? I'm going to keep the 4 hour on the right hand side. I need to see the different time frames hand in hand, because it allows me to tell a better story on price and actually break price down to the fullest point possible. So I refined my zone. As you can see, 4 hour, this was my zone on the 4 hour before, and that's what it looked like up here. Actually, this wasn't even a 4 hour zone. This is, I think, was a daily zone. So I can definitely refine this zone. So what I'm going to do is make it a lot more cleaner because I'm OCD. We're going to drop this down here because this is ideally the most recent level that you could consider like a heavy level. It's a level that has been respected a lot. If I'm identifying most recent, the most absolute recent resistance level, it's this one. And then the most absolute recent support level, it's this one. Now, the support level down at 2703, I'm going to keep it, because if we do get closures below here, that's what I'm talking about earlier on the 4 hour in regards to this 4 hour closing below the zone. So if we do get closures below the zone, this 4 hour will be closing below the zone, which means that what? There'll be a higher probability that we can come down to 2692. And then overall, right, you can argue that this is just bearish structure printing for the short run, right? Because on the higher time frames, we're super bullish. Let me close these. I get rid of them because they're garbage. Higher time frame, we're trending up, right? We're creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Higher highs is higher low potentially, right? The reason why it's a potential is because it closed strong bullish at this level, because it respected it. So all this could be here on the 4-hour is just a lower time frame trend. But is it super valid? Not really, because overall we're bullish. If we just wait a little bit and say, cool, we're pulling back, we're trending on the lower time frames, bearish, cool. Could we get sells? 100%. If you can identify the short-term trend. But overall, the long-term trend is bullish. So buys would be ideal. But as of right now, I wouldn't trade in this area. Just because like going down to the lower time frames, this does not look healthy at all. Taking buys above this area, potentially. But the only thing that's discouraging me from these types of buys is looking left at the most recent price action. You have resistance here. So if I'm taking any buys above, just to squeeze something in, I'd probably take buys above here. Fucking OCD. Probably take buys above here because we rejected here multiple times, more than multiple times. Rejected here, rejected here, rejected here. Tried to come, didn't go. And then we've also respected it as a support before. So very key. But now bouncing from the zone, which we did, if we were to find a mirror, right? Like this is a mirror to essentially this. What happened? Well, we came up, came back down, then we drove. Ended up closing above after rejecting it a few times, right? So could that same idea happen here? We drove up, respected again for the second time. Now we're driving back up. This is literally just a lower high, or sorry, a higher low. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So I'll probably look for sells below here, buys above here, and that's it. Trump's about to get inaugurated at 12 o'clock today, so I ain't trying to chase nothing. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that this area is just garbage. It's a piece of shit. Don't want to trade in it because this is just retarded. If this wasn't forming here and we were getting a little bit more cleaner moves, then we can look for like discounted buys or even discounted sells, but no dice. And if I'm getting buys above here, my targets will be up here at 2716. But also one thing, only 37 points. One thing I'm also not one thing I'm not worried about is changing up my bias in this area, depending on how price prints. If price starts to print a little bit more cleaner for me, then obviously my bias will change in regards to trading inside this zone. But as of right now, I don't want to. And on top of that, I would love to see what the 4 hour is going to tell me in 52 minutes. Because in 52 minutes, once that 4 hour closes, if it closes outside of one of these two zones, we'll have an idea as to where price is going to go, at least for the next 4 hour. And then daily. What does the daily look like? We need to see daily again. The daily's already made our. We've already made the bottom wick on the daily. That's the thing, right? Potentially even today we could close above these areas because we've made our bottom wick. We still have 9 hours till the next candle closes and opens, and that's over here. Yeah. I could say more buys above this area as well. If I end up missing a trade because of momentum or whatever the case is, definitely more buys above here, 100%. I gotta take a fat shit, but I gotta watch price do its thing. How about some Warzone while playing for or waiting for fucking price? It's not good to play Warzone first thing in the morning. Ma, shut the fuck up. Am I gonna get a sunrise this morning or no? It's gonna fucking overexpose my camera. Oh yes, as well, to remind myself. Okay, my journal. I withdrew 20 bucks. Sublime. I'm balling. Let's go buy a car. I withdrew 20 bucks because I'm doing another challenge. So this money was transferred into another account, and now we're down to 842. But that's fine because this money is gonna grow in a different account. So we got two accounts. I got one for New York, and then I got one. I think I'm gonna trade this account in Asian session, and I'm probably gonna journal this. I'll probably journal this on a different spreadsheet, and on top of that, if I don't journal it on a different spreadsheet, it'll be documented on video because I'm gonna be doing let's put it this way, I'm gonna be fucking testing my trading abilities to the maximum. So no friends in the industry, my brothers. Another thing, keeping in mind Inauguration Day, gold could most definitely just sit and not do anything until this guy gets on the podium and starts speaking 100%. Like, we might get moves at 12 o'clock when Trump talks, and this thing could just range for the entire session. Not the entire session, but for the open. But let's hope not. Because I'm trying to get some motherfucking money. Brothers and my brothers. What did I just watch? Man, I wish I could post fights on YouTube. Well, not post fights, but review fights. Bro. Get me on Warzone. For fuck's sakes. Thinking about some crypto investments here. Trump coin might do its thing today. Support, resistance. Anything below here before Trump talks and gets inaugurated, good stuff. Is this his coin though? Trump coin. Okay, so this might be his coin. has launched his own cryptocurrency, which is quickly soared in value. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, this thing's gonna fly. We gotta get some buys in this motherfucker. I loaded up my crypto wallet last night, and I'm like, it's lagging. Like it's taking forever. Hopefully, I can grab some coins for a bit before he talks. Let's see the thing. Coinbase is probably the worst fucking app to use, in my opinion. I hated it ever since 2 years ago. Ever since Canada put their hands in this fucking app, and slowing down and shit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cryptocurrency investors are hoping the Trump administration will boost the industry. President Joe Biden's regulators cited concerns about fraud and money laundering as they crack down on crypto companies by suing exchanges. Yeah, okay. I mean, 100%, that definitely happens. It's definitely a great way to, you know, do hush hush money and hush hush business. But you think these guys aren't fucking laundering money? What happens when Joe Biden sends $1 billion over to Ukraine? You think he doesn't get a kickback? Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. There's something called offshore accounts, offshore banking. So he'll send $1 billion over to fucking Zelensky, and he'll be like, all right, when you get this $1 billion, I want 1% sent over to this address. You think this guy's not laundering money? Come on, bro. If your son does coke and there's something about some goddamn laptop, you're definitely laundering money as well. Fucking hypocrite. Money laundering is just fucking. It's all fake. Money's not real. There's no such thing as money laundering. Why I'm laundering money? Because I don't want to pay taxes? Of course I don't want to pay taxes. Who wants to pay taxes? Nobody. And if you want to pay taxes, you're fucked. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, but we gotta pay for things in society like the roads and this, that, and the third. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because that's the most important thing, right? How much of our tax dollars do you think goes to that shit? Barely anything compared to what they send over to Ukraine and shit. To fund wars. About 30 minutes for this 1 hour closure. Bro, this is so annoying. Like, I'm trying to buy this coin. Trying to get my hands on this Melania coin. But I gotta wait for my fucking Solana to process. It's been processing since last night. So somebody's gonna get yelled at. But if it goes down to $5, I'm down. I'm down to take some P's and Q's from that level. Where's my boxes? Where's 5 bones? $5 is here. I don't think we'll go to $5. I think maybe this area. We'll buy the support. What is that? $7? And then we'll double up on 14. I think this shit can go to fucking like 50. Why not? Just wait till Trump gets fucking inaugurated. You guys are gonna see. Okay, we got volume here. This is more important right now. Coinbase stuck on pending. Send stuck on pending. Transaction sent to a phone number or email address that are still pending indicate there's some accept the funds yet. If not accepted, other 730 fund returned to your account. But I'm not sending it to nobody. If your transaction is stuck or pending for days, it has been a few different issues. Never congestion. There's a lot of transaction happening in blockchain. It can cause delays. Wallet issues. Make sure you're using a wallet that's fully synced and up to date. Yeesh. Transaction page of my wallet. Okay, new 30-minute candles open here, and like there's some good volume going on, so we'll see what happens. I gotta wait minimum for this candle to close below or above either one of my zones. Holy shit. Oh my god. Bro, this is retarded. Bro, what? The way this 4 hour closes here is key, in my opinion. So I'll leave that there. I'll use the lower time frame for entries. But that's after we get our closures. Bro, somebody bought $51,000 worth of this coin. That's crazy. Just keep my eye on gold though. That's ridiculous. I'm adjusting my support down to this level here because here we rejected as well. So I need closure below there. $15 close respecting. So I gotta wait one more 15-minute candle. Absolutely correcting that move. That's crazy. All right. Let's see. Coinbase has to be the worst goddamn fucking crypto app I've ever used in my life. I can't do anything with this shit. See if this fucking guy helped me or not. Settings. Um. 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 Uh, uh, Okay, it has to be here then. And if it's not, oh, I'm gonna get upset. For real. Seven minutes. Less than 5 minutes. Let's see. Got him in daylight. 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 I had a fucking shit. Like a racehorse. Oh, are we gonna get closures? I don't think so. Fuck off. $20. Alright. New 4-hour open. That's how it closed. So let's see what happens. I think if this 4-hour flips, we start breaking the previous. which will be this area.
We should do some moves.
Oh.
Patiently waiting. Explore, learning rewards, Coinbase One, invite friends, more. Apps verification, no. I don't.
No.
But after that, we do want to bring in presidential historian Jim Robineau to talk more about the historic events that we are going to be seeing and couching it when it comes to looking ahead, but also looking behind, because the present and the future are always influenced by the past. And we're going to have that interesting conversation coming up after the break. Andrew, we'll be right back.
Interesting conversation.
Holy shit, I have to shit.
Are live now from Fox Inauguration Day 2025 coverage as we look ahead to the official swearing-in ceremony of President-elect Donald J. Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. I'm Stephanie Quinu, and you're taking a live look right here at a very chilly Capitol building right there with the American flags, and you can actually see the stage had been set for the upcoming swearing-in ceremony. Unfortunately, you can also see not a person right there on the mall. Typically, crowds would have already walked in preparing in anticipation for this historic moment because of the weather, because of the dangerously cold temperatures and the wind chill. The swearing-in ceremony is now going to be held inside the Capitol Rotunda. The second
Or they
time
treat
the
people
last
like
time
fucking
that
babies, man. The
19
dangerously cold weather. We have to stay inside.
swearing-in
Shut up.
ceremony. And a lot of disappointed
Dangerously
people,
cold
as you can
weather. Holy
imagine,
fuck.
making the
Let's
journey
see.
to Washington, D.C. to witness this historic moment as President-elect Trump to be sworn in as the 47th.
Bro, it's -3.
He was sworn in
Like, the sweater weather here. Dangerously cold weather.
To be elected non-consecutively, Grover Cleveland, in fact,
That's
being
fucking
the very
so
first
cringe.
president to have that happen. And to give more on this historical perspective, we do want to bring in Jim Robineau, who is a presidential historian and a friend of Live Now from Fox. And Jim, we appreciate you taking the time to join us on this Inauguration Day.
Hi, Andrew. Good to see you.
And we are taking a live look, Jim, at St. John's Church, where President-elect Trump
Can I
and
throw
Vice
this in here?
President-elect J.D. Vance are inside, along with a number of notables. Andrew and I have been discussing this all morning long in terms of who will be attending. And it is very significant in terms of who is being allowed inside the Capitol Rotunda to witness this historic moment, because these are a select few handpicked by President-elect Trump. What do you make of those who we know will be in attendance, Jim?
Well, I think that, it's a very small space, actually. And if I told Andrew last week that if you go back and watch the inaugural of Reagan in 1985, everybody is standing. It looks like that's what's going to be the case here, so they can get more people in there. If they had chairs, it'd be even less. I think they estimated about 1,000 people made it into Reagan's inaugural inside the Capitol. If they had chairs, it'd probably be only about 600 people. So it's a very confined space. As I understand it, they're using the hall, the Great Hall that's just been built in front of the Capitol, the entrance to the Capitol for overflow for 1,800 guests who will be there. It's a beautiful space, but it's not like being there in person. So it's going to be a very intimate affair. And I think in Reagan's case in 1985, it did provide a nice backdrop for him inside the Capitol, and with all these people standing around and standing next to each other as he gave his speech.
You know, I just wanted to bring up, we do have some reporting in, if we could take the shot outside St. John's Church. Bloomberg's reporting some of those who are in attendance with the president-elect and the vice president-elect. I'm learning, and they're learning, Mark Zuckerberg is there, Jeff Bezos is there, Tim Cook is there, the TikTok CEO, Xiao Chu is there, also Argentinian leader Javier Milei is there, and the former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson among those in attendance for the service there. Jim, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. I know it's early, but I got to ask, because I don't want to belabor this point here today because it's about Donald Trump's inauguration, but we have to ask you what President Biden just issued about 2 hours ago, preemptive pardons for a slew of Trump critics. Now, in just about an hour's time, Biden and Trump will be in the same car together. They'll be exchanging pleasantries. And he just delivered this parting shot to his longtime political rival. And we could get into what a preemptive pardon is, if any presidents have ever done that. What do you make of that? That this one last final barb to a political foe he delivered with hours left as president?
Well, it's interesting, Andrew. I mean, the pardon power is a really important part of our history. If you go back to the beginning of the country, there was a rebellion in the country by people who had served in the Continental Army who were not getting their pay and whose homes were being, taken from them. It was called Shays' Rebellion. That rebellion led to the need for a constitutional convention in our Constitution. It brought George Washington out of retirement and back into, political life. So that rebellion was much about, trying to quell people who had been violent, who had stormed courthouses to stop court proceedings and so forth. And that's why the pardon power was put into our Constitution, was to allow a president to calm take the temperature down, to end something that could be, a very dangerous rebellion against the nation itself, and pardon people like Colonel Shays or Captain Shays. That power also was shown at the end of the Civil War with the general amnesty that was issued to the Confederate soldiers. And there was actually an act of Congress under the 14th Amendment for that. Then you get to...
Okay, I'm looking at this price here. I like this range, right, that we're forming here on the 15. If I were to just redrop this line that I had here, like I would be taking buys above 2713. I think I'm gonna not look for that, because if there's gonna be any type of moves today, they're probably gonna be very volatile, and like it's very tricky because I can find a move in here. But because we're ranging, when we break out, we're breaking out with volume. So I would probably look for closures above 2716 if I'm looking for any type of buys today, above 2716 or below 2702. Now, another way I can buy within this range here is if price comes down, we break below, and then we come back to retest this level, but we don't end up respecting it, and we kind of break and then start forming some type of bullish structure to continue going back up to this high or even this high. So that's one of the few ideas that I have in my mind. So I'm not going to be looking for any more buys in this range until we break past 2716.
Constitution.
And Jim, I just wanted to let our viewers see this live look right here as we do see President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden welcome in Vice President Harris and a second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, right there as they are also preparing to participate in this swearing-in ceremony, of course, having that farewell ceremony as well. We see them standing at attention. And I also want to bring in this, Jim, because there's the political dynamic that we're going to see at
Bro, look how they move and like, oh my god, like just how they, like they're just their mannerisms, how they greet each other. It's just like, okay, they want us to kiss now. Let's kiss each other on the cheek. Okay, let's stand here for the picture. Okay. Everything's so fabricated. Like nothing's fucking real when it comes to this shit. It's so fucking funny. Like, look at these guys. What do you think these guys are thinking?
And we do know that Michelle Obama will not be in attendance. She wasn't at the funeral service for former President Jimmy Carter. Also,
These fucking political people kill me. But that's why Trump's different in regards to his personnel and who he is. When you see him online, he's relatable. He's not fucking like, okay, now we gotta stop hugging and we gotta look over here. No, it's just like, no.
All the way back to 1801 when John Adams, the second president, refused to attend the ceremony for Thomas.
Okay, I give up on buying this fucking Trump coin and shit because something's wrong with this fucking Coinbase app. Either that or Solana's just, the market's crowded, so I can't even get a transaction to go through. And I ain't gonna stress it.
I think we ought to look back. Reagan's inaugural, his very first inaugural, when he defeated Jimmy Carter. Again, bitter campaign. Carter was disappointed. Reagan got up and he started his inaugural by saying that, the orderly transfer of authority as called by the Constitution routinely takes place, as it has for almost 2 centuries. And few of us stop to think about how unique.
Put some more espresso.
In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4 years.
I'm thinking about another cup.
As normal as nothing less than a miracle. In the very next statement, he spoke to Carter, calling him Mr. President. I want the nation to know how to do this transition of power. That is something that we should not take for granted. It's good that President Biden and that Vice President Harris are going to be attending. It's very important that they do that. For his own reasons, Donald Trump did not attend 4 years ago, but we need to reestablish that and keep that as the peaceful transfer of power in our government, or we don't have much of a government.
Just like a human.
But it's good to look back at somebody like Reagan, who was very gracious about it, very gracious with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter before him had been very gracious with Gerald Ford.
Just like a human.
After Watergate, who had pardoned Richard Nixon, by the way, and one of the reasons he didn't win. So as I say, it's important that the president and vice president attend. Other people like Michelle Obama can make their own decisions. I would prefer that she would come rather than have the distraction, but it's definitely her decision about what to do. As I understand, President Obama is going to be attending. So this is an important point in our constitutional government, and really I see a lot of grace by many people who have gone through this.
You are your own government.
Decided not to attend, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, I mean, Jim, it's
You are the only government you need.
stranger to anyone that it's hard to lose. It's hard to lose on such a public stage as a U.S. presidential election. I want to talk though with you about the inaugural address, and we can maybe get into what your favorite inaugural address is as a presidential historian. Mine is Lincoln's second inaugural here. What did Trump say today? Will he, like Reagan, give a nod, give some words in his speech to both Biden and Harris in some show of grace? I'll be looking for that. Because obviously that portion in his first inaugural back in 2017, the American Carnage section, a lot of people infamously remember that. But he's saying his speech is going to be one of
And I also wanted to share with our viewers, Andrew, Jim, before you answer that, it does appear that President-elect Trump is departing now. St. John's Church, we saw him alongside Melania Trump exiting the church. It does seem as though the service has wrapped up. They're walking hand in hand right there, and he's smiling to the crowd. Thank you, he says, mouthing those words and walking into the escort right there, the convoy. And I just wanted to share that with our viewers as we continue to take a live look. But, Andrew was sharing some of his favorite, inaugural speeches. Do you have one?
Yes. I mean, if you look at inaugurals, Andrew, as you've said, the message of unity is what's most important. And you see it again and again. A lot of these inaugurals are a genre that, follows kind of a pattern. The president starting off humbly thanking the voters, essentially saying, I'm not sure I'm up to the task, as George Washington famously said in his very first inaugural, and then going through and saying, as Thomas Jefferson did in 1801, this dispute with Adams, he said then, we are all Federalists, we are all Republicans, meaning we're all Americans. And after hard campaigns, a president needs to unify the country because the president's going to be...
NYSE open here. Oh, no, they're closed. Are they closed? Are they open today?
I've seen that Trump is intending to talk about unity.
I don't think they're open.
Speech,
The fuck?
Carnage speech from 4 years ago. He actually did talk about unity there too. It is a really important message. But if you ask me, what are the important inaugurals? Obviously, Washington's, Jefferson's, and then I agree with Andrew, both of Lincoln's, but especially Lincoln's second inaugural, which was very important. Again, the country then torn apart by war.
Yeah, it's closed.
100,000 Americans losing their lives. Huge change in the country politically. And Lincoln chose that occasion to say, with malice towards none, with charity for all, let us bind up our wounds. That's the kind of message that you need to have after you've had a rough and tumble time, and especially when you've had, such a severe war. The other two that I really like are Franklin Roosevelt's 1933, The Only Thing We Have to Fear is Fear Itself, where he tried to calm the nation in the midst of this Great Depression. And it was a really important message that calmed the fears in the country that, banks closing and things like that. It was a really difficult time. His message was one of fortitude and, bucking up the American people. And then my absolute favorite actually is JFK's 1961 inaugural, when he talked about, let the torch be passed to us, and then we need to be a country of service. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It's a wonderful, beautiful speech, very well put together, beautifully delivered on a day not unlike today. It was about 22 degrees. You can see the breath. And Kennedy got up, no hat, no overcoat, and gave this very stirring speech that is worth watching. And I think...
You guys definitely shitting bricks right now, freezing.
Inaugurals.
Jim, I also wanted to ask too, because we are in 30 days of mourning as a country in the wake of the death of former President Carter. President Biden issuing the guidance and the order for all American flags on federal buildings to be lowered to half staff. But in the last couple of days, you've heard from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. You've heard from some Republican...
I'm surprised their windows aren't tinted.
Like Ron DeSantis and others, saying that for today, the American flag should be raised back to full staff. On some state houses, that is going to happen. But we're learning, according to some reports, that Speaker Johnson also had ordered that for the U.S. Capitol. But some reports saying right now that the staff, the crew, are trying to bring it back to full staff, but the cords are frozen because it is so cold. I wanted to ask, though, was there a previous time when the nation was under a 30-day period of mourning for
That's suspicious.
or whatever during the time of an inauguration? Can you think of one? Is that unique?
I think it is unique. If you look at our inauguration, we today, December 7th, POTUS, different ceremonies. Every consecutive POTUS, numbered POTUS, if you have two.
I need coffee. One espresso isn't enough.
We have this quirk of several presidents who died in office. And those presidents, there was an immediate transfer of power to the vice presidents in those situations. And in, Nixon's resignation, the transfer to Gerald Ford. So when those presidents died in office, and you would have had, the flags at half-mast, the transfer of power had already happened. There was no real inaugural speech. There was no inaugural ceremony other than the giving of the oath to the vice presidents under these, dire circumstances. And it was done in various places, by the way. It wasn't just in the Capitol. Calvin Coolidge, when he took over after Harding died, his father swore him in Vermont. And several times when that sort of thing happened, an emergency presidency, if you will, those would be followed by some public ceremony on the East Portico. So to answer your question, I don't think this has ever happened before where we've had the death of a former president or a president that resulted in flags being flown at half staff during an inauguration. It would have been during the time of, emergency. LBJ down in Dallas, he was sworn in on Air Force One. Very interesting trivia question there. The person who swore LBJ in was Sarah Hughes, who was a federal district court judge who had been appointed by Kennedy and was, a friend of LBJ's. He waited for her to come out. The only woman to ever administer the oath of office.
Wow.
And so you see that famous scene, which really interesting to me because I wrote in my book, January 1973, that she's the one who administered that oath. She was later the judge who decided Roe v. Wade in the lower court.
Wow.
And Wade was the guy who was the prosecutor who brought Oswald out, Henry Wade. So kind of a strange quirk. And then Roe v. Wade is issued on January 22, 1973. Later that day, Roe v. Wade is decided in the Supreme Court. And later that day, Lyndon Johnson dies. So there's a lot of real interesting connections to that story. But, I think when you look at where the country is in terms of mourning a president or a former president, I don't think that's ever happened before. And I think that, to me, this issue is one that is not worth much fighting about. It is what it is. And, it's symbolic to some people, so be it. But I think it is the law that you have to keep them at half staff.
And now we're taking a live look as President-elect Trump is arriving at Blair House. This is really just the stepstone, if you will, before he arrives at the Capitol Rotunda. And Jim, you were sharing with us in terms of previous inaugural speeches and previous significant events. As a historian, of course, typically you take a look at the past, but you're also viewing what is happening in real time through that historical lens. And I'm curious for you, when you're taking a look at the historic events unfolding before our very eyes, before the nation, before the world, what are you most focusing on today?
Yeah, Stephanie, it's a good question. I think that given what President Biden did this morning, this day will be remembered for pardons, both the pardons that Biden issued and the pardons that
I need to put a sweater on.
issue. And
Oh, is she
I'm not sure whether it's going to be a blanket pardon for
departing?
January 6th crimes or if it's going to be select. But this day is going to be remembered for that. And I think people will put a lot of context around it because it will be on the Democrat side. They will say, we needed to do this because people were being threatened with political prosecutions. And on the Republican side, they're going to say, well, you politically prosecuted President Trump and these people who were protesting in 2020. Really shows a real divide in our country through this mechanism of the pardon power. And it's definitely going to be the thing that we're going to remember. It's interesting that, the people who write these speeches for presidents spend a lot of time looking at the past inaugurals. And it is interesting to go back and look at them. They're real points in time. But if you look at some of the people who wrote their inaugurals before they had speechwriters per se, James Garfield in 1881, who was a college president, just a genius in math, Civil War general, and he won in 1881. He would then be assassinated 6 months later, but he could not, he had writer's block. He could not write it out, and he had nightmares about it, and finally he had a dream that kind of provoked him into writing what he was going to write. But it's a really important historical document that sets the nation in a point in time, but it also looks back. Most of these inaugurals reference George Washington in some way or another. Most of them reference the founding fathers. Most of them, like President Reagan, reference the miracle of the transfer of power, the peaceful transfer of power in this country. And then, of course, they talk about where they are and what they want to do. They don't necessarily talk about, down nitty-gritty policy. It's more principles of where they want to take the nation and what they want to do. That was true of Trump's first inaugural. That was true of Biden's inaugural. This whole idea of talking about broad principles and ways that you want to lead the nation. So it's an important time, an important document, an important marker for our country, and it's worthwhile going back and reading a number of these inaugural addresses to really get a feel for how the country got through very difficult times, how the country got through very good times, and how we progressed and moved forward as a nation.
And moving forward, we were just sharing with our viewers, Jim, more individuals leaving, departing St. John's Church. We were seeing Barron Trump, obviously the youngest son of President-elect Trump, along with a number of his other family members. And right here, we do see Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff welcoming Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. And so it does appear as though perhaps they're having a conversation. So I did want to raise the audio for our viewers to see what we can hear.
Great.
NYSE open.
The audio just a little bit difficult to hear, but from what we saw with the exchange, Jim, what do you make of this? Obviously, it was a contentious election cycle, and neither individual really mincing words, or anyone for that matter. When we take a look at this exchange, again, history in the making, what do you glean from that?
It's interesting to me. We've had very few senators become presidents. John Kennedy was one of them. Barack Obama was one, and Warren Harding was one. Very few people come out of the Senate and become president. A lot of them come from the House. A lot of them are governors like Reagan and Carter. But these two people, J.D. Vance and Kamala Harris, both come out of the Senate tradition, which is a very collegial, fight but then get along type of atmosphere. And you could kind of see it in the way they greeted each other. There was grace there on both sides. And I think that that's an important message to the American people, that we can disagree vehemently about policies and about all sorts of things that are really important to us. But at the end of the day, just like those senators have to get along in their legislating for the American people, those two showed that they have Senate blood in them, so to speak, that they both are willing to be collegial and to speak to each other as human beings and as fellow politicians. So I was pleased to see that. I was pleased to see the smiles, and I think it's an important message for the American people.
And I also wanted to
Jim,
share, Jim.
Andrew Kraft here. So talking about their Senate careers, they weren't in the Senate for very long, Harris nor Vance at all. So they didn't necessarily get to, show maybe their legislative bona fides. They were really instantly catapulted to the White House, so to speak, weren't they?
Yes, it's a good point, Andrew. I'm not sure they overlap with each other. I don't think they did. I think she was vice president.
They didn't, no.
Yeah, when he was elected. I'm from Ohio, so I know J.D. Vance. I don't know him personally, but I know about him. And, I know that when he was in the Senate, he didn't have enough time to really establish himself, as you've said. She kind of established herself when she was doing essentially cross-examination of Supreme Court justice candidates and also on a banking committee. So she was known for being she's a former prosecutor, and she was known for that, in her time in the Senate. She had a little more time there than he did. But if you look at J.D. Vance, it's an interesting thing. Ohio, along with Virginia, claims the most presidents. And the Virginia presidents all came early on. George Washington.
These guys just look like they have their mouths open.
And so forth. And then we had the Civil War. And from the Civil War until Warren Harding in 1920, Ohio ruled the presidency. It was Grant, Hayes, Garfield, McKinley, Taft, just a slew of Ohioans. And Ohio became known as the mother of presidents because many of those people were born in Ohio, but not necessarily, like Grant ran from Illinois. But Ohio was known as a swing state. It was known as a heart of the country type state where, people from both sides would share power back and forth. It's become very red at this point. It's become very ruby red at this point. The Ohio legislature is supermajority Republican. And we now have 2 Republican senators because Sherrod Brown just lost his re-election campaign. So he came out of that milieu, which is a little bit different from the former Ohio presidents who came out of a milieu where there was more of a give and take in Ohio and a division, pretty equal division in the state. It's why it was a bellwether state for over 100 years. But all of those Ohio presidents were Republicans. They were in the tradition of Lincoln. They were in the tradition of reconstructing the South and so forth. A lot of interesting stories about them. And so J.D. Vance falls into that. I think we've had one vice president who is from Ohio, but it'll be interesting to see what he gets to do, how he's included in the the decisions that are made in the next 4 years. Jimmy Carter started the tradition with Mondale of bringing him into the Oval Office and giving him an office in the White House and consulting with him regularly. And that's been more or less true, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Donald Trump is such a dominant leader, and J.D. Vance has so little experience, relatively speaking. It'll be interesting to see how much he's included and what task he's given, by the president, or if he'll be less of an authority than in the past. So very interesting questions to come.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, Jim, because, talking about the role of the vice president during former President Jimmy Carter's funeral, we were hearing the words of the late vice president, former vice president Mondale, and talking about the reason why he accepted was because he wanted the role of the vice president to be one that was respected, one that was more equal than in years past. And it is going to be interesting to see what that dynamic is like and what role JD
200,000 people are watching this, just this one channel. And I'm fucking one of them.
President-elect Trump to depart momentarily. And on the lower right-hand side of your screen, that is an aerial view from inside the Capitol Rotunda, just a stunning view as we take a look. And previously, there were some singers. It does look like perhaps the ceremony, that portion of it has concluded as we do see people exit right there, but just sharing with our viewers the different vantage points as we continue to watch in real time the events unfold. But it is absolutely interesting to see the very beginning almost, Jim and Andrew, of what is to come in the next 4 years, you know, setting the stage for what is likely to be a very different presidency. And you were mentioning the dynamic and the role, you know, couching that in historical context with previous dynamics and relationships between former presidents and their vice presidents. You know, Andrew, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what unfolds.
Yeah, that's so true. I just have to note, we do see Marine One there in front of the Capitol. That's always a very, very cool shot there. Maybe we could take that full. You see the presidential helicopter there in front of the U.S. Capitol. And so we'll see who gets on that. I believe it will take the Bidens away, and then it will also take the Trumps to the White House. But my producers can correct me if I'm wrong on that front. Can we take the shot of Blair House? While we have Jim, can we just talk about the significance of Blair House? From my understanding, it's kind of like
I gotta get my other mic.
Guest list, so to speak.
This is all fucked up now.
Yeah, what we know is that during the Second World War, when Winston Churchill came to the United States and stayed for weeks on end in the White House with Franklin Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt was not very happy about that. And eventually she said to him, why don't we have Blair House, which had been there, become kind of our guest house for dignitaries who come rather than having them stay in the White House. There are these hilarious stories of Winston Churchill walking around you know, the White House in the middle of the night. And there's one very famous story of him standing up naked in a bathtub that he was in, saying the Prime Minister of England has nothing to hide from the President of the United States. You know, it was just, it was a real annoyance to Eleanor Roosevelt. So Blair House became kind of this very famous place for distinguished guests to stay. But during Truman's time, the White House was literally falling apart. And so they went in, you ought to see some of the pictures of this. They gutted the White House during Truman's administration. And he lived across the street in Blair House during that time. So it became kind of the White House itself. You know, then they recreated the White House to what it is now. But it was literally, they were worried that it was going to collapse because it had been so weakened over time. And during that time when Truman was in the Blair House, there was a Puerto Rican nationalist uprising at the time. And there were several of the Puerto Rican nationalists who got guns, came to Blair House to try to assassinate Truman. They got as far as the guards in front of Blair House. Truman was actually taking a nap inside. Several of the guards were killed. The nationalists were killed. It was a really traumatic incident at that time. But the Blair House goes way back. I mean, the people who stayed there and came over to see Lincoln when he was in the White House is interesting. But it really became what you talked about, Andrew, a kind of let's have our visitors stay in the Blair House as opposed to having them stay in the White House.
And as we talk about the Blair House, we are still waiting for President-elect Donald Trump to depart. But this is a live look there at the Capitol where we were seeing his daughter, Ivanka Trump, arrive along with a number of other family members right there. This is a live look as they already are starting to trickle in inside the Capitol. You see Eric Trump right there as well, walking inside, of course, awaiting for President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance to arrive. But another, historical moment in the making, Jim and Andrew, as this is really just the second time that the swearing-in ceremony is taking place inside at the Capitol Rotunda because of the weather, the incredibly cold weather. But what's also interesting to note is that there have been very cold swearing-in ceremonies that have taken place outdoor. And Jim, historically, when we're taking a look at the decision-making process when it comes to whether or not to hold an inauguration, traditionally outside or now shifting inside, what is the thought process historically when it comes to determining, the events and where they take place?
Good question. Very good question. It gives us a chance to talk about this building too a little bit. When the Capitol was built, the very first building was the Senate building, which is just to the right of the big dome right there. That was the original structure that was built. And then they began to build the middle part that will be the rotunda. The original rotunda had a cap to it that was much, much smaller than the one you see. In fact, the one you see was built during the time of Abraham Lincoln. You can see pictures of it being constructed during one of his inaugurals. So they built that, and then the house was built on the other side. And then eventually they expanded the two wings, so where the Senate is now is further out, where the House is now is further out. But so in that context, these inaugurations took place in various stages and in various places. The Senate building was originally used, as was the House chamber, for the very first presidents. The first time it went outside was Andrew Jackson, and they used the east portico, not the west. The west portico is where it's been done since Ronald Reagan switched it from the east to the west, where you look down the mall and you know, that beautiful setting that you've shown pictures of. It always prior to that was on the east side, and the east side is where you see
no volume.
Famous pictures of Lincoln when he's
no mother frickin' volume, bro.
Are on the east side. What's interesting is once they built this huge dome on top of the you know, the structure, it really made the pillars that were in front of the east look very small and out of place. So there was a project to redo that, and they took those pillars down. They took that facade down. And if you're in Washington,
I don't know why they're updating this late. Like, is it my fucking computer?
I think Arboretum.
This wasn't here like yesterday when I checked.
You know, if you went to Rome and saw ruins and so forth.
But he speaks at 12, so we should get some volume then.
A new facade. So the facade you see with Lincoln is not the same facade where he spoke. It became much bigger and elaborate. And each president, you know, made the decision about whether to go forward with, you know, the exterior inauguration. When Grant was inaugurated, I think it was for his second time, it was extremely cold. It was like, you know, 16 degrees. And he went out, nevertheless, gave his inauguration outside, but he held his inaugural ball in a room in the Treasury building where it was so cold people were wearing overcoats and the champagne froze. So kind of a famous time there. But, you know, being the Civil War general that he was not going to take it back inside. He held it outside. And then, of course, with Reagan, it was important because by the time you get, you know, to Trump and to Reagan and so forth, you have so many people who show up and who are in danger of having frostbite, or really some bad things can happen in situations in that sort of weather. So I think it was a wise choice to move it inside, just like as it was with President Reagan. But over time, it has been, you know, JFK, it was about the same temperature that it is right now, 22 degrees. He went ahead with it outside. And I think the better idea is to hold it inside, and then, you know, to not have people get injured or hurt during an inauguration.
Yeah, we're just looking at some of the arrivals yet again. Maybe we can listen to some of them here.
Nancy Pelosi? No. Who's this? I guess not.
Jim, as we take a live look at the arrivals here inside the Capitol Rotunda, I want to ask you this, and maybe you know and maybe you don't, but we are awaiting President-elect Donald Trump to depart the Blair House and make his way here. You know, what's the process during this waiting period? What is he doing? Is he practicing his speech? Is he just relaxing? I mean, what does he do during this downtime? Or is he busy making phone calls, as we do know that, you know, he's set to sign, you know, 200 or so executive orders. You know, can you take us perhaps inside the Blair House as we do await his arrival here?
Well, I doubt he's practiced. I bet he's read over his speech many times. And he's pretty good at reading speeches, and I think he will, you know, he has good delivery. He knows how to give a speech. My guess is he's talking to a lot of different people and getting ready to come over. it's interesting in our history how this, presidents getting to the Capitol to be sworn in. The first inauguration was in New York in a place called Federal Hall, but Washington came all the way from Mount Vernon and rode horseback and through carriages through various cities on the way and had all this big celebration of him coming to, to that ceremony. He gets to the ceremony. They go to give him the inauguration, and nobody had remembered to bring a Bible. They had to run and get one from a Masonic temple that he used, and that many presidents have used since because of its historic significance. He then walked over to church himself. And then when you had Thomas Jefferson, he left his hotel where he was in Washington and walked to his inaugural, the first one, and then walked back to the hotel following that inaugural. So that was kind of an important point. Later in his second inaugural, he rode a horse to Congress to be sworn in. That then followed with various presidents getting there by various means. I think the first to go in a car might have been McKinley. No, not McKinley. Would have been Harding. Subsequently, this tradition developed where once the president was done with the inauguration, then you would have a parade that followed on. And those parades became more and more elaborate. Eisenhower's lasted for 4.5 hours. It was the longest. Wilson's had 40,000 people marching in it. It was the most people marching in a parade. So that became kind of the tradition of the president going back. And as you know, Carter, when he left his inauguration, was being driven back to the White House when he stopped the car, got out, and started to walk. And that became extremely famous. And I think everybody has followed that, where they walk a portion of the time on the way back to the White House. Trump did it and Biden did it. It is become kind of a tradition. It'll be interesting to see it in the cold weather whether they'll follow that pattern or not. I wouldn't, frankly, for security and other reasons. But this getting to there and then leaving ended up resulting in the parade that we have, because the early presidents were followed by their enthusiastic supporters back to the White House. Andrew Jackson had such enthusiastic supporters that they came back to the White House and ransacked it. I mean, they went in, punch bowls were thrown everywhere, curtains were torn down, people had to escape through windows. It was just a scene, a joyous scene. But eventually, the way they got everyone out of the White House was to take these big punch bowls outside and get the people to leave the White House.
And Jim, I just wanted to pause as President-elect Donald Trump has now arrived at the White House. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden welcoming Trump and Melania Trump right there. I am going to raise the audio. Again, we might not be able to hear much, but let's listen in. And I have to say, this is really interesting as we're watching President Biden and President-elect Trump standing there, apparently seeming to have a conversation of some sorts. And it's just so interesting to see the interactions, as always, as it was a very contentious battle almost between the two before President Biden announcing that he would step down and step away from running once again for president. But, Jim, when you take a look at that moment, we did this with J.D. Vance, of course, and Vice President Harris. But what do you make of that as they paused right where that photo opportunity was, but to apparently have some sort of conversation.
The same thing I said about the J.D. Vance moment. This is good for the country to see. The unity is good. The friendship shown between two men is good. Melania Trump looked a little uncomfortable, but that's a difficult role to be in. And when the two of them went in, it looked like they continued to talk. This is reminiscent of Obama and Trump speaking at Carter's funeral too. This is a time for people to begin treating each other as not just political enemies, but as fellow Americans. If you look over time, that interaction can sometimes be very frosty. If you look at when FDR came in 1933 and Hoover lost, they rode together in an open car with the same blanket over them to the Capitol for the inauguration, and FDR chatted away and Hoover said nothing. He was not happy. Carter and Reagan were similar. I don't think Carter was particularly chatty. I think Reagan, being who Reagan was particularly chatty. When Warren Harding won after the First World War, Woodrow Wilson had a stroke. 19 months earlier, he had tried to pass what was called the Versailles Treaty, the League of Nations. It failed. And he, trying to get it passed, Wilson went out into the country to stump for it, had this severe stroke in Denver, was taken back to the White House, had another very severe stroke. And so he was very disabled at that point. And by the time, it came time for Harding to come to the White House and to go with him, they did go over together. But once they got to the Capitol, Harding kind of excused Wilson and said, I will not blame you if you don't want to come out for the ceremony itself, because he really was disabled at that point. And so Wilson was taken to his house on S Street, which is still in existence, a great museum if you're in Washington to go see. But this transition of power, this thing that Reagan talked about in 1981 as being a miracle, it really is a miracle. And it really is interesting. If you look back at Thomas Jefferson, as I told you, there was a really severe fight between Adams and Jefferson. They would later in life become friends and would write letters to each other. They both die on the same day in 1826 on July the 4th, interestingly enough. But during that time, as I said, Adams left and Jefferson went ahead and gave his magnanimous speech. So if you look at what has happened in these transitions of power, many people called that 1801 election a revolution, because it really was the first time we saw political power handed from one party to another. It was the very beginning of parties. And so people saw that as kind of an important revolution and an important development in the American experiment in democracy. And so it has been carried out ever since. And so this scene is a good scene for Americans. And let's hope that the inaugural also continues that feeling of let's unify as a country and move forward as a country. There are a lot of things that need to be addressed in this world and in this country. And people need to work together to have that all happen.
Jim, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox. Time right now is 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And if you are just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, we are continuing our coverage of Inauguration Day 2025. This is a live look right there outside the U.S. Capitol. As we have been sharing with you, arrivals continue inside the Capitol Rotunda. In fact, this is a live look right here of the Capitol Rotunda, as we have seen family members of President-elect Trump, as well as others, arriving here, getting ready to be seated. Meanwhile, we also want to share with our viewers as well that we were sharing with you the arrival of President-elect Donald Trump and Melania Trump here at the White House. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden welcoming them in for a tea ceremony prior to the swearing-in ceremony. They are inside the White House. Media not allowed inside. And of course, one has to wonder what that conversation is going to be like. This is another vantage point there outside the White House. A very snowy ground, a very cold day, which is why in just the second time, the first time since 1985, the swearing-in ceremony will be held inside the Capitol Rotunda. And in fact, this is an aerial view right here. It keeps going in and out, so I didn't want to necessarily bring it to you full, but just a very brief look right here at the aerial view from inside the Capitol Rotunda right there. Just a bird's eye view, and you can see that folks are making their way inside. And this is a live look right here inside Capital One Arena, as of course it is a very chilly day. So unfortunately, the hundreds of thousands of individuals who made the journey to the U.S. Capitol to watch as history unfolds as Donald J. Trump is sworn in as the 47th president. Unfortunately, the outside ceremony not happening, but you can already see that thousands of people are packing inside Capitol Run Arena to watch this via the screens. We also know that Trump will then, after being sworn in as president, make his way inside the arena to deliver additional remarks to those as well. And once again, I do want to bring in my colleague Andrew Kraft as we continue our live coverage here. And you can see that lawmakers, Andrew, are arriving there inside Capitol Hill as, arrivals do continue. As we continue to discuss all of this, what are your thoughts as we continue to watch this unfold? Truly historic in nature right there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You're seeing the former speakers of the House there, McCarthy, Boehner, and Gingrich. So that's always interesting to see them kind of commingling together. Of course, Republican political powerhouses, all three of them really in their own right there. But I just want to go back. Our viewers were just watching that really incredible, somewhat tense scene, I think, between the Bidens and the Trumps. And you just kind of have to get into the head of Trump, into the head of Biden. These are longtime political foes. We know that they cannot stand each other. On the surface, yes, they exchanged pleasantries. They had a short conversation. They took the photo here. But the 2020 election and the 2024 election were very hard-fought contests. We know Trump did not even attend the inauguration of Joe Biden. Of course, things look a lot different this time around. And right now, as we speak, they are having tea together in the White House. And that goes to what Jim Robidault was saying, that this is what this day is about, the peaceful transition of power. You set all that aside, no matter how hard it is in your marrow and in your bones, that you might be thinking to yourself, if you're Biden or Trump, or even Harris with Vance, because electoral defeats are very painful, but you put all that aside for today, one day only. And I think that's what Jim was alluding to. That's what this country is all about. That's what makes us unique. He called it, and many have called it, a miracle, so to speak. So I just wanted to note that there. Of course, we know President-elect Trump's relationship with former House Speaker McCarthy. You'll remember, Stephanie, in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack, mere days, if not weeks afterward, Kevin McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago. And that was really seen as a game-changing moment. That was seen as a moment that was rehabilitating Trump's image in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack, that there were going to be fellow Republicans who will still stand by him and forgive him for January 6th. So I thought that was interesting. McCarthy, of course, we know how that unfolded for him. He lost the gavel. His own fellow Republicans, 8 of them, ousting him from the speakership now a little bit over a year ago. And so he's on hand. There's going to be a lot of people on hand in the Capitol Rotunda. But that's what I'm thinking of right now. And just for our viewers, To give them up to speed on what's happening live right now, they are, the Bidens and the Trumps, having tea together at the White House before they ride together to the Capitol, to the Rotunda for the swearing in.
You know, and we're taking a live look, Andrew, of the White House right there as the tea ceremony is underway. And you know, it's always so interesting as we see, you know, the political rivalry, you know, front and center, you know, especially during the election cycle. And, you know, the ability for some,
It's only
perhaps
10
not all,
o'clock.
but some of these politicians to then set that rivalry, that contentiousness aside, you know, and seeing beyond perhaps the political party and seeing the person instead. You know, as we take a look at the political landscape, you know, what do you make of that? Because we were seeing President-elect Trump and former President Barack Obama speaking with one another quite cordially at the funeral service of former President Jimmy Carter. Of course, you know, not everyone is able to, you know, put those politics aside after leaving office, after handing the baton, so to speak. You know, but one has to wonder what the conversation is like now inside the White House, as in just hours, President Biden no longer president, and President-elect Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. And
As
for the
the
second
47th president.
Right. I mean, history is contingent. Elections matter. I'm sure you have. I know I have lost contests in my personal life, minor, large, grand, small, and it's tough and it hurts.
Minor, large, grand, small.
You put those aside. You let bygones be bygones for at least a couple hours.
Absolutely, and that apparently is what they are going to do. And, you know, just to give our viewers just another look right here, I did want to share this live look right here as well, as we are taking a look outside.
Well, all the influencers are there.
Outside the Capitol building, you can see
McGregor's there.
lining up, most likely
They took the bus with Logan Paul and Kyle from Full Send. Kyle Forgard.
You know, we do get these live streams from time to time, but
I don't think they're on the first bus though.
As we continue,
But they're on the bus.
This live look right here, you know, Andrew, as we continue to take a look at this, you know, it is so interesting to see who is in attendance, who is being joined, and you can see people from really both parties attending, as well as you know, staunch supporters. In fact, you can see some of these. Marco Rubio right there, Senator Marco Rubio, likely no longer to be that, obviously, as we have heard that Governor DeSantis has named his successor. But really, the who's who right there in terms of cabinet selections.
Yeah, you're seeing all of the Trump cabinet selections get off that charter bus right there, and we can name them. We know, Stephanie, the confirmation hearings are literally happening as we speak. We saw a lot of that last week. It's going to pick up this week as well. These are the people Trump has chosen to help him lead and plan the agenda for the next 4 years. And so you see them all there, get off that charter bus. Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, and others there.
Should be heading down here now to 2702.
Absolutely, and I did also want to share this with our viewers, you know, and actually we see some of the outgoing members as well, perhaps, as everyone is seated right here. So, you know, we are awaiting the arrival of both President-elect Donald Trump and President Biden. They, of course, are having their pre-inauguration.
That whole hour, we're just stuck in that range.
You know, individuals trickle, you know, but also, you know, as we take a live look right here, this is historic in nature because this is atypical, Andrew. This is not something that we traditionally see every 4 years with the swearing-in ceremony. I did want to share this with our viewers as well. As you can see, a live look there, you know, a larger, you know, more extensive view of the Capitol building right there, where everyone is congregating. And of course, as we have been sharing and talking about, there of course is a reason why when it comes to the fact that the mall is completely empty. No one is in attendance. No one is allowed to congregate there because of the frigid weather. And so I did want to share that with our viewers as well. And a beautiful live look right here. You know, from the from the rooftop, I should say, of the Washington Monument, and this really giving us a clearer picture. We see the American flag there, you know, waving in the wind, and the wind chill making it even feel like single digits right here as we continue to await the arrival of President-elect Trump and, of course, President Biden.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot there atop the White House. To your point, the flag's still at half staff. If we have the inside of the rotunda, we can point out some of the people that are there. I think that would be helpful for some people watching because, to your point, Stephanie, it is going to be a who's who of the federal government. It's going to be a who's who of Washington. But world leaders are also in attendance. I believe I saw the Argentinian president, Javier Milei, and other former world leaders as well. So we'll do our best pointing out these individuals, pointing out these members of Congress, former members of Congress, incoming and outgoing members of both administrations here. That's always, to your point, interesting to see who's there and who's not, who's seated next to who and who's standing maybe. But we're finally getting a live picture inside of the rotunda. We were wondering how this was all going to look because they had to pull it together so quickly. And there you see more of these individuals walking into Congress there. And if I recognize anyone, I will definitely point them out here. Looks like Tulsi Gabbard there, Vivek Ramaswamy, other members of the incoming Trump cabinet, and some of the staffers who will work in the second Trump White House. Upon confirmation, of course, there's Elon Musk.
And
Maybe
Andrew,
if we can see if we can hear some of the natural sound, that's always interesting too.
It is, and we can see the inside of the rotunda as this, you know, they continue to, you know, weave through shots right here. But, you know, as we take a moment to pause, I do want to bring in Rebecca Castor with Fox News as well as we continue our live coverage right here. And Rebecca, we're taking a live look from inside the Capitol Rotunda as we see lawmakers, officials, and really the who's who of Washington and the business industry, you know, arrive ahead of this swearing-in ceremony. We see the Capitol building right there behind you as we are awaiting the arrival of President-elect Donald Trump. Security, of course, top of mind. You know, thousands of law enforcement officers spreading out across Washington, D.C. to make sure that what happens is as seamless as possible, a hustle and bustle, if you will, ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. So, you know, can you set the scene for us right now?
Hey, Stephanie, good morning. So speaking with other reporters on our Fox team who have covered inaugurations here in D.C. in the past, they're saying that this security feels a lot more ramped up than previous inaugurations. So even though things have moved indoors, security is still red hot. They have the Capitol building pretty much locked down like a fortress. There are miles and miles of fencing all around the Capitol building, as well as some of the nearby streets. It's really hard to travel downtown D.C. right now. People are saying that
I don't think it's worse than Toronto, though. Toronto driving is the goddamn fucking worst. Never, ever, 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 ever will I ever live down there. Ever.
By the local police chief, and they have been given police powers to help out the D.C. Metro Police as well as the Capitol Police as well. They're expecting at least 19 different protests to possibly happen around the district today, so we're going to be monitoring that. We know that they're going to have drones out, also monitoring.
Are these people walking out one by one and taking their seats?
Drones in the air. That is likely, what they are doing, monitoring some of these events. A lot of things are going to look different today than they have in the past. Now that this inauguration is moving inside the Capitol, it's It's been 40 years since a president was sworn in inside the Capitol Rotunda. Those lawmakers that are
Amazing.
to the Capitol Rotunda, that's an exclusive invitation. We're told only about 600 people are going to be able to sit inside the Capitol to be able to watch the swearing in happen in person. There's going to be an overflow room as well. So I think there was some discussion on Capitol Hill, lawmakers lobbying to try to get the best seat in the House and to actually be there in person as opposed to that overflow room. But it's just not going to be the same event as if we would have seen Donald Trump outside on the west front of the Capitol taking the oath of office. Of course, all of these changes, primary reason is the weather. This morning, the feels like temperature was about 12 degrees. The sun is up, so it's warmed up a bit now. It feels a little bit more comfortable outside, but that decision was made with the safety in mind of the hundreds of thousands of people from all over the country who traveled to D.C. and were going to congregate on the National Mall. They've actually shut that down. People that are still here are not able to even be around the National Mall today. They've locked it down because the police just don't want people gathering because of just the safety conditions out here in the weather.
All right, Rebecca, we do appreciate you sharing that with us as we continue.
I'm not gonna lie, I mean, that's kind of a bullshit excuse. Safety conditions due to weather. No, they know why they're bringing it inside. It's inside because they don't want to risk anybody hopping up on a building or hopping up on a higher ground and taking a poke at Trump. Again, no shot. They ain't taking that risk.
Continue at the U.S. Capitol head of the swearing-in ceremony.
Hillary Clinton? Yeah. Hillary and Bill.
Former President Bill Clinton, along with Hillary Rodham Clinton, also in attendance right there, just posing for pictures. And we do know that, all of the living presidents will be in attendance, as well as the former first ladies, everyone except for Michelle Obama, who will not be attending, not giving any particular reason why that is. She also did not attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral as well. As we continue truly to see the who's who.
Maybe she's pregnant, having a baby.
Right here, so we're going to pause on the commentary and allow you to listen in.
Vivek's getting some special seating. Vivek or Vivek? Vivek? You know what's probably true? These are the real motherfuckers that run the country. All the white-headed motherfuckers that you don't see on live TV. All the white-headed motherfuckers that never fucking ever, you'll never see them on social media. Those are the ones. These look like the motherfuckers that run the country. The real deal. Tucker.
And there we have Rudy Giuliani, the former attorney for President-elect Donald Trump, of course, the former mayor there of New York City, as Rudy Giuliani now making his way inside ahead of the swearing-in ceremony for President-elect Donald Trump. We continue to see this, but I do want to pivot now because we do see here the departure there at the White House as we do see Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and soon to be First Lady Vice President there. And we are waiting in. I'm going to raise the audio as we are expecting President Biden and President-elect Donald J. Trump to be departing as well momentarily.
Yeah, and Stephanie, we're just watching, you just saw the second gentleman there, Doug Emhoff, with the incoming second lady, Usha Vance, there, leave the White House. We know tea is happening between the Bidens and Trumps as we speak, but we were seeing a slew of dignitaries there enter into the Capitol Rotunda, including many, many members.
What's up, CC? Long time. What's up, Victor? How are you, bro?
Some of our viewers caught. You saw Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, there walking into the rotunda.
XRP, though?
From what I understand, I believe he will be administering the oath
I saw that shit a long time ago.
Trump has two Bibles that will be used to administer the oath. His mother's Bible, and then, of course,
This is
the very, very famous
market cap.
Lincoln Bible from 1861. That's been a hallmark. It's been a tradition for many, many inaugurations past. So
I have a friend who I told
really, really
way back, like maybe 2022, I'm like, yo, buy XRP. He loaded up on it, and now he's up like probably like close to 10,000 on it. And good for him for holding. All the cryptos are gonna make their moves now. Let's see what happens. It's touching $5 and I'm out. Yeah.
And Stephanie, in these moments,
I used to have a lot.
these parts, I have to be honest
And
with
then I
you,
sold it all.
is my
I
favorite.
sold it all when they went through that lawsuit.
Talking to who, and who who's not talking to who.
No, I bought it all when they went through that. I bought a lot when they went through lawsuit, and then I sold it after like a year. I'm like, yeah, fuck this. I'd rather move my money somewhere else.
And almost the former speakers there, right in the front, kind of unofficially acting as a greeting line for so many members there of the House. Many Republican members right there. You see Chip Roy. You see Brian Stile from Wisconsin. And others there. You see Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey. Of course, Chip Roy drawing the ire of President-elect Trump during the entire government funding shutdown showdown that was averted mere weeks ago after the Christmas holiday. But it's just very, very interesting. So we are seeing this, Stephanie, of how all these people are going to fit in the Capitol Rotunda. And it is getting full. And it is getting packed, as we can see. So we're going to do our best to point out some of these notable individuals, some of these dignitaries there, gathered, invited. Now, what was so interesting, a lot of these lawmakers, they get their own kind of set of tickets where they can hand out and dole out at will to, you know, supporters and family and friends. Well, that was kind of moot this year because it was moved inside from outside because it was so cold. So to your point, we have heard from a lot of people, people who come from all over the country to be here for Inauguration Day.
Still have my original position from 2020 around 70 cents, then loaded more as time went on.
Now, not a soul in sight, and that is never the case
Ripple's
on this
cooking.
inauguration.
Oh yeah.
It is teeming with thousands of people.
I mean,
And you see
it's
some of the members
it's behind a lot of
McCall there from Texas,
like
Marcy Captor from Ohio,
it's
Greg
delayed. Like the price should be a lot higher than where it is right now. It should be like Solana,
Security Advisor.
the way Solana moved, but
Remember, he had to resign.
the reason it didn't move is because of obviously the lawsuit that they went through. That fucking crippled price for a long time.
National Security
But
Advisor.
they're probably gonna
And you see so
they're
many
probably gonna bounce that coin back up.
the Texas Republican congressional.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up.
And also, you know,
But
Andrew, what's interesting,
gotta-
of course, obviously, all of this has had to.
I don't know. I know a few people that I know a few guys, and you're talking about how you're holding it as well.
The reason being
I might start looking at it, but
outside, and now one has to
I gotta see price pull back because I ain't gonna buy at a high. Fuck that.
Rotunda, how warm it's going to get inside there. They might have a very different issue.
I wouldn't mind throwing
When you
some
have so many people packed shoulder to shoulder, it does get
dollars
very
into here.
warm. And you know, it is going
Like,
to be interesting to
realistically,
see, as you mentioned, the interaction between the people.
if I bought this
as
at
we
like
continue to see that
$4,
interaction, I did want to just allow our viewers to just absorb and
let's say I started with like a $300
as
position.
we continue to raise the audio and just listen in and you know, just take stock of this historic event.
I have 75 coins. Realistically, if it went up to fucking like 20 bucks,
Although we do want to now pivot as
Yeah.
we continue to see. Here's a live look right here of the.
I don't know. I'll keep my eye on it. I wouldn't mind buying some more, but I gotta get a low in. Probably somewhere down here. I ain't buying no fucking highs.
The motorcade as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda right there. A live look, as you can see, another event happening.
It's good to see you doing this, man. Keep it going. If you got a Discord or maybe a group chat, let me know. Gotta go to work. Yeah, check the appeal news on the trail from sec recently. Very bullish people are worried about MC. Yeah, I don't have a Discord yet, but we can definitely, yo, you have me on Instagram, bro. Like, feel free to reach out, you know. I always hit you back, so we could definitely talk about some shit. I'm live every morning trading. I trade mainly gold, but definitely looking at cryptos. So we can definitely chat. I wouldn't mind. Add me on Discord. I'll hit you up on Instagram, and I'll send you my Discord to add me.
Yeah, I think the role of the First Lady, especially with Melania Trump, will be very interesting the second time around. Of course, you have to imagine what Jill Biden and Melania Trump discuss. Melania Trump is not a new First Lady. She is incoming and a former First Lady herself. And it was reported that Trump's people did decline another invitation for tea with First Lady Biden a couple of weeks back. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe no love lost between the two there. But we know Melania Trump really took a back seat, was almost completely absent from the 2024 campaign. Yes, she did appear at that Madison
This
Square
shit is
Garden
just
rally in
not
New
doing
York City.
anything.
She did appear
We're definitely gonna
at
get
New York
moves after
City.
12. That's for sure.
In Milwaukee, she did not.
We'll chat, bro. Good seeing you. Yeah, definitely, bro. I'll hit you up.
She did take somewhat of a backseat.
I'll actually send it right now so you can add me, and then we'll tap in when you're free.
The role of First Lady that Jill Biden took was very front and center, was very prominent. Someone would even argue that she was, because of President Biden's age or alleged
How the fuck do I send my link?
infirmities or alleged senility, that she was somewhat also in charge of the inner circle, so to speak. So I thought those roles were very different.
And we
now
see the
have
doors,
the two
Andrew,
principals, I
opening
believe,
once
coming out.
again.
Maybe not.
I just wanted to let our viewers know we see the doors opening once again. That, of course, is Vice President-elect J.D. Vance alongside Vice President Harris. They, too, will be sharing a motorcade. And to your point, Andrew, you were mentioning it's going to be interesting to see what First Lady Jill Biden and Melania Trump will be speaking about. Now you have Vice President Harris and J.D. Vance sharing a vehicle. You know, is there going to be any sort of conversation, as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda? We continue to talk about the political dynamics. And, it's always interesting. We see them from a distance, but truly they only know what's happening inside that vehicle, of course, alongside, Secret Service.
I just got copyrighted on my stream.
They too are
That's
departing
fun.
The White House, and finally, as we pivot the view right there back to the front doors, we are expecting to see President-elect Trump and President Biden to depart shortly. I also wanted to share this look as we continue to take a look. You can see House Speaker Mike Johnson there arriving at the Capitol Rotunda as we do see the limousine that is set to depart the White House right here. And I did just want to pause on this live look as we are expecting President-elect Trump and President Biden to be departing the White House in just a matter of moments. Also sharing a singular vehicle as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda for this historic moment as President-elect Donald Trump is going to be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States.
And just to note, Stephanie, the woman in the green jacket, that was Senator Deb Fischer.
Why the fuck is streamer mode enabled for me?
Congressional committee known as the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies. They are tasked with putting all this on. And so that's why you saw Senator Deb Fischer there, the Republican from Nebraska. And so they are responsible for planning this, for making sure it all goes off without a hitch. And so they are instrumental in this. You're going to see them quite a lot today. And you just saw Deb Fischer there with, I believe, Usha Vance and Doug Emhoff. So wanted just to note that there as well. You also see some of these congressional leaders get there into the rotunda. You just saw Hakeem Jeffries and others, Speaker Mike Johnson. So congressional leadership looks like they are in the building now. We are waiting, to your point, President-elect Trump and President Biden. And to your point, I do hope that maybe some of the official photographers will release photos from inside the limousines of how these moments transpired, what the conversations were like. Maybe we can get some reporting as well. We do know, though, the Bidens have been somewhat gracious with the Trumps after the November 5th election. President Biden inviting Trump to the White House that very same week and committed to a peaceful transition of power. And that is what we are seeing today. And that is why this is so important. So Biden and Trump will be riding over in the Beast to the Capitol from the White House momentarily. This is really quite something. Obviously they haven't spent that much time together. They were on a debate stage twice in 2020. They were on a debate stage once in 2024. They've appeared at similar events at the same time, but I would venture to say that this is going to be the closest in proximity they have been for the longest duration, maybe ever. And so you just have to wonder what those conversations are going to be like. These political rivals, political foes, from all reporting suggests They literally cannot stand each other. And I think a lot of the viewers forget that after Biden sought not to seek re-election after the debate in June in Atlanta, where he withdrew from the ticket, the Trump campaign had a difficult time adapting and adjusting to the fact that he was not going to be the rival. It was going to be someone else, and here they are.
I think it's time for some Warzone while we wait. Or while I wait.
And as the limousine departs right there, we actually saw President-elect Trump on his cell phone, Andrew, just checking some stuff. But we were hearing one of the reporters yelling out to both Biden and Trump, "What are you going to talk about?" And obviously they did not answer. But of course, that's the question that everyone wants to know. What will these gentlemen be speaking about? They, of course, were joined by Representative Amy Klobuchar, who, is part of the committee that oversees the inauguration and all of the events. But still, curious minds want to know, Andrew, what is the conversation going to be like inside this limo? I don't know specifically, and perhaps you do, just how many minutes it's going to take for the limousine to actually arrive at the Capitol, but it could either be a very long ride or it could be a very short and comfortable ride. We don't know.
Let me just mark these levels.
Under 10 minutes. And yeah, you saw there Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, the Democrat. Another member.
We know there's support down here. 4 hour.
Inaugural ceremonies. And so she's also in the limousine. Maybe she'll be breaking the ice, so to speak, between Trump and Biden. But this
we have this.
To wonder as well, Stephanie.
We
what
have
is
this.
the Biden post-presidency going to look like? We know they're going to be being Joe and Joe Biden. They'll be spending a couple of days in Santa Barbara, California. After today, they'll be whisked off there to the West Coast. We know Trump is going to the West Coast later this week on Friday to survey some of the damage wrought by the LA wildfires. So they may be in California at the same time as well. But a post-presidency looks different, so to speak, if you're Obama and you're leaving.
Well, if this daily re-breaks its own highs, we could definitely fill this wick. But our first stop would be previous candles, wick, at 2717. 2717's there. 1 hour looks like that. 2717 up there.
So I think it remains to be seen what his role in American political
42 pips.
Will be going.
What's this? 100.
Sometimes presidents, all presidents, when they leave the White House, they go back to being everyday regular citizens.
30 minute. Okay. This looks fuck. There's that level on the 30 though.
They had in the Oval Office, even while not in the Oval Office, Jimmy Carter was a perfect example of that. And so you're watching the beast right
That's
now.
why I'm discouraged.
Down Pennsylvania Avenue, down to the U.S. Capitol. This is quite something. This is remarkable. Let's just watch and listen.
What did I want to do? Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
As part of this motorcade, it does look like they are trying to get it back, but and it does look like they have. We're just going to hang on this. It looks like they have fixed this issue. Let's listen in.
Yes, Stephanie, of course, we're moving down Pennsylvania Avenue right now.
Not being suspicious. Not being suspicious.
So many of these supporters who have lined the streets there, and you can see them on the sides waving. It is very, very cold. We're now passing the National Gallery of Art, if you're familiar with Washington. We do apologize about the feed. It looks a little bit in and out there, but we're going to stay with it. But the motorcade moving now, both President Biden and President-elect Donald Trump inside alongside Senator Amy Klobuchar in there. So I said this is about under 10 minutes, and we're going to be moving up to the U.S. Capitol in just no time here. But you can see the security. You can see there some of the troops saluting the motorcade as it moves past. And now I believe we're going to be right outside the U.S. Capitol momentarily. And so this is really, really remarkable. We're not going to, and it has been reported, we're not going to see your typical inauguration parade, down Pennsylvania Avenue because it is so cold. President-elect Trump will be visiting his throngs of thousands of supporters at Capital One Arena, much like the rally he had yesterday. And that is where people are watching it live inside that arena, thousands of them. And that is
I'm trying to figure out how that nigga do that one, bro.
That's crazy. I don't think these guys can hear me. I'm chat banned.
Shadow 01. Deployment to the war zone has been authorized.
Crypto longbow for 5 years. That's crazy.
Man, I'm about to go get the money from.
Bro, these guys sound half awake.
Resurgence. Survive and your team can redeploy. Eliminate targets. Mark a drop point to your squad and hit the field.
Guy's name's Money. But it's... Yeah, they have a day off. I can't even talk my
Enemy
shit.
dropping into the AO.
Oh, not going this way too. Bro, how I been getting shot down already, dog? We literally just got off the plane, bro.
You got that bitch hit? Well done. Mark remaining operators in that squad.
Alright,
Hunt them down. You have reinforcements inbound. Your squad mate's back on station. Good work.
Like me the whole time, bro.
Damn.
Target down. Marking the rest of them.
Alright, bet. No dogs them on their way over here.
Enemy soldier incoming. Semtex.
I'm about to go and grab that car, bro.
Holy shit. Holy shit. What is this guy shooting?
You have reinforcements inbound. We're returning you to the front.
Bro, these guys probably have like a fucking 60 FOV. Oh, I'm dead.
Look out of here. There's a nigga on the inside
You
of that
have
bitch.
reinforcements inbound.
I know what he about to do.
Somebody here, brother.
Be advised.
Hey, let me get your money,
Still
bro.
have
Let me get your money
squad
so I can
mates
get it
outside
loaded.
the safe zone.
We're trying to get that load out.
Enemy counter UAV.
Alright, fucking 3 little fucking losers.
You've got a loadout drop inbound. You'll get another chance. Weapons free. Your squad mates redeployed. Well done.
About to drop on you.
Kill confirmed. We've located the rest of them.
No, I'm in the water.
Oh, damn. Fair enough.
Help me, please. Please, help me.
They get mad.
Loadout drop headed your way.
Yeah.
Bro,
Smoke coming.
where did I just get here from?
Somebody else.
Bounce.
Just sitting there.
Updated intel on new target. Intercept and eliminate.
Yes, we would handle
Nice
those
and whole
deals.
ass.
However, it has not been received. The doctor can always call and initiate over the phone, but at this time there
Your
has
squad mate's back on
been
station.
no.
Good work.
You mentioned about something a bit, wasn't it?
Enemy soldier incoming.
They can submit a new prior authorization as well if they
On
have
top of
any
factors,
of
man.
the missing
Oh, three of them bitches in there.
Target
Inside of
squad
that motherfucker.
stolen out from under you. Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done.
Deploying assault pack.
Your squad mate's back on station. Good work.
Yes, Navitus Health Solutions, correct.
That's the boys from factory that just flew over.
Appleton, Wisconsin.
We have reinforcements inbound.
54912.
I mean, see me in the water, nigga. Nigga, that fat me up.
Your squad mate's back on station. Good work. Get your squad to the safe zone. Leave no one behind.
Boy, I appreciate you.
Move. 25 remain. Solid work.
Bro.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Huh?
You have reinforcements inbound.
There you go, more.
Windows closed. Back to standard
Yeah, but I
procedure.
ain't letting nobody get none because Amir sat there and ate them off of the side of left everybody. How much is it?
Enemy UAV is online. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the
And
skies.
I told Jeremiah no because it was only
Good kill. Marking the rest of that squad on your tac map.
Come here, Zach.
Contact was more than usual. Get it done, soldier. Enemy destroyed. Use your tac map to hunt down the rest. Mark remaining operators from that squad. Hunt them down.
Hey, no way, bro. He's right here. Get that nigga, bro. Get that nigga lower his head. Watch out behind you. Watch out behind you.
Come here.
Resurgence is about to end. Make it count.
Hey, guys. 7th grade. Yeah, 7th grade. You had 5th class as well? Huh? You had 8th class? Yeah, I do.
Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done.
My boy.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
What?
Oh my god.
Get to the safe zone.
Come in and
You've
see
got
you.
gas moving in.
What
Enemy UAV overhead.
Oh, but I'm asking you about
Enemy UAV is online.
Oh. He told us he wasn't there.
Your squad mate's back on station.
He
Good
told
work.
his sexual preference.
Why yeah, say that? What about his date?
Fire sales done. Prices are back to normal. Your squad mate's redeployed. Well done. Good kill. Marking the rest of that squad on your tac map. Hostile UAV in the area. Enemies are dropping into the area.
Bro, what?
Huh?
That nigga. He on the roof.
400 damage.
Yeah.
He right above you, bitch.
I thought his name was No, that's black. Yeah, but
I don't know how I died of that fall
No
damage.
more second chances. You were one of them.
Man, right there, you see Elon Musk. Of course, we know Jeff Bezos' company.
All right, I got one more.
Just had a first in its own right with their most recent test launch there in Texas. We know how important that is to Elon Musk and SpaceX. And remember, Musk is going to be part of this administration, not Senate confirmed, but as head of the Department of Government Efficiency. Also, it's notable because a lot of those tech titans, Stephanie, well, they were donors to the inaugural committee. $1 million donations came in from Amazon, from Apple, from Boeing, from Google, from Lockheed Martin, from Microsoft, also from Sam Altman of OpenAI. You see that Mark Zuckerberg.
Real people coming through.
So it's not only how these individuals are going to work with the incoming Trump administration, they have also given money to the Trump inaugural. So they have paid for their seats, so to speak.
Oh my god.
Talk about donations and, you know, trying to
Sometimes people hit, sometimes people don't
get
hit.
into
Come down here.
the
All stations, green light. We're deploying to the war zone.
And of course, I fucking just one got. I got one teammate.
Resurgence. We've got 10 squads active in the field. Survive. Until we can bring them back from. Your team lead. Set a drop point to your squad soldier. Soldier incoming. Away from the other side. Supply box UAV is inbound. Survive until your team can redeploy. Target down. Marking the rest of them.
For sure. You shot by the desk or street?
25 remaining.
Hell yeah, it's illegal in the state I live in, bro. It's illegal where I live. Tennessee.
Enemy destroyed. Use your tactics. Kill confirmed. We've located the rest of them. Enemy destroyed. Use your tactics to hunt down the rest of them. Hostile UAV in the area. Enemy UAV overhead. Your squad is down. Stay alive to bring them back. UAV inbound. You have reinforcements inbound.
Excuse me?
Enemy UAV is online. Enemy soldier incoming. All squad mates are in the safe zone. Gas is closing in. Enemy counter UAV inbound. Remain in operation from that squad. Hunt them down. Enemy deployed an advanced UAV. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Hostile UAV in the area. Stand to you, soldier. Stay sharp. Friendly loadout drops on the way. Your squad mates back on station. Good work. Target of opportunity acquired. Weapons free. Stand by for redeployment.
Damn. Hey, already. Remain. They hit us hard that time. Dust yourself off, regroup, and get back.
This game's fucking retarded. And ass. Fix your fucking servers. Spawning in with one teammate. Like, what kind of bullshit is this? It's amazing. It's amazing.
Here with my colleague Stephanie Quinu. Want to thank everyone for being with us. We're just a little past the 10 a.m. Eastern hour. Stephanie, to your point, we just saw the justices of the Supreme Court. I believe all 9 of them in attendance, but also I've spotted there former Justice Stephen Breyer, who retired during the Biden presidency, and that is how we got Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first African-American female on the court there. So Breyer in attendance, which I thought was interesting. Also wanted to highlight just some of the excerpts that we have gotten from Trump's second inaugural speech that will be delivered in about an hour's time. He says this: "My message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization." To my point, Stephanie, going into this weekend and now today, the social scene of Washington is full on MAGA. And I don't say that as an opinion or as a subjective statement. It really is. It's such a departure, it's such a shift from how the Trump folks were welcomed into Washington in 2017 after his shocking electoral upset, his defeat of Hillary Clinton. And now we see members of the Trump family, his children there. Interesting.
I could have played one more game of Warzone. It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Vice Presidents, the Honorable Dan Quayle, accompanied by Mrs. Marilyn Quayle, and the Honorable Michael Pence. Ladies and gentlemen, the 42nd
Ladies
President
and
of the
gentlemen,
United States, the
42nd,
Honorable
oh.
William J. Clinton, accompanied by the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Dana White's there. Ladies and gentlemen,
the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush, accompanied by Mrs. Laura Bush.